Hi, my name is Sarah Busio, Family Child Care Provider in Chase, Wisconsin. I am here today to talk to you a little bit about documentation and to give you some helpful tips on how to document children's learning. First, I'll just take a few seconds here to talk about why I document. Documenting the learning process has become a passion for me, and I believe that when creating documentation, I'm helping the viewer see things through the eyes of a child. What is ordinary to most is extraordinary to a young child. It's another way to communicate with parents. It's a way to communicate with my peers. It's a way to communicate with the children. I'm learning too, it's also a way to advocate high quality care for young children. And it also advocates that the world of early childhood, specifically the work we do with infants and toddlers out of our home, is a profession that deserves to be respected. So now I'll touch base a little bit on how I document. There are many ways to document the learning process. Using the photos we take and the videos we record, we can create books, postcards, bulletin boards, photo collages, short movies, and more. Not all, but most of the documentation I make is created with the intentions of posting on social media or on my website, exploremorelearning.com. The main reason for this is because I've noticed in my experience that typically dropping off in the morning and picking their child up in the evening is a very busy time. Most of the parents don't have a lot of time to come into the playroom and look around and sit and talk with me. In the mornings, they're usually running late for work, and in the evenings, all of their focus is on their child, rightfully so. So I created a business Facebook page to help communicate with parents so they know what we're up to during the day. I think it's really important for them to stay connected. It's important for them to know, but it's also important for their child to know that they know what's going on. And just a quick side note here, because I post online, I am very careful to respect the privacy of the young children in my care. I have received permission from the parents to take their child's photo and post images online. I always crop out or blur a child's face. If you ever see a child's face clearly, you are most likely looking at one of my two children. In regards to the digital documentation, I always make sure to have my camera handy, which for me is my smartphone. It's always within reach so I can take photos. And when creating the collages, you can use, there's a few programs that I use, which I'll give those to you at the end. But when making your digital documentation piece, things you can include a title that typically will help the viewer know what's going on. Like here, I just called this one Painting with Gourds. Names of the children involved, Lila, Lucas, and Felix. So if Lila's mom is checking in that day, she's going to be like, wow, Lila painted with gourds today. The date and the pictures. Some tips when taking your photos. First, I would say take multiple photos. Take lots and lots and lots of images. You can always delete the ones you don't need. Usually you have to take a lot just to get a few really good ones. Especially with very young children, they move a lot. And most of you probably work alone. You are going to need to probably put your camera down to help a child do something. So again, just take lots of pictures. The good ones you can keep. The rest that are blurry or don't really get the message across, you can just delete. Zoom in when taking photos to show the detail. Zoom into those hands that are full of paint. Zoom into those little fingers that are working so hard to pick something up. And then also zoom out to show the setup and give the viewer an idea of the entire scenario. You never know who could be looking at what you have created. Perhaps it's a potential client, or perhaps it's a young mom or another teacher in a totally different state that likes what you're doing and maybe wants to create that scene for their children. Our documentation is not all digital. I do create documentation pieces that are specifically for the children and to be hung up in our environment. Usually that's in our indoor playroom. Here are two examples. These two images of documentation I created specifically for the children. In both situations, I placed their work in spots where they could see it and be reminded of the experience they had, which in this case was with watercolors. When they see their own work on the walls, it usually prompts a lot of conversation with the older children. It gives everyone an opportunity to see their work and the work of others, which usually allows us to talk about color and design. While observing, we spend time talking about how beautiful they all are, but also different from one another. And anything that you put in the environment that the children made always sends a message to them that what they do is important, and it's certainly worth hanging on the wall for everyone to see. Before we go, just some helpful tips for documentation. PhotoGrid and Instagram are two apps that I have on my phone that help me with my digital documentation. PhotoGrid is a collage maker, and then once I have my collage made, I can put it in Instagram, and Instagram will add filters to it. I can make it black and white, sepia tone, or I can add different colors, or just give it that little extra piece of pizzazz it might need. I feel like when I do this and when I post it online, then maybe it makes people look twice. And if people are looking twice, then maybe they're going to read what I have to say. And if they're going to read what I have to say, then maybe I'm helping another teacher or a mother or a father or somebody who is a caregiver as well, helping them to maybe think of an activity they can do with their children, or just helping to maybe advocate for quality care and for what I think is the best for our children. Always keep a notepad and pen within reach as well. Another option though, which is what I do most of the time, is I just always have my smartphone with me and I take videos a lot. Lots of videos and lots of pictures. When I'm taking videos, I can later rewatch those videos and then from there write down some things the children say if I feel like I want to use some of their quotes for documentation purposes. And lastly, always, always, always keep that camera within reach. You just never know when one of those magical moments will unfold right before your eyes. Usually multiple times a day, right? All right. Well, thank you for watching and good luck.